losing, heart belly beating right now. Where's inspiration? I'm needing it now. God said, hold my head, he won't leave me to drown. This is my season, this is mine. This is mine. I sowed the seeds, now I'm reaping my harvest. This is my season, I'm reaping my harvest. This is my season, this is mine. I sowed the seeds, now I'm reaping my harvest. This is my season. Yeah, what's up? It's your boy King Leo, and as always, I am excited to be back with another episode of A Voice of a Generation podcast. This is episode 7, so I would like to welcome you all. The topic that I will be talking from today is called The Joy of Being Single. Now, what's actually funny is that I wrote this topic before I actually got into the relationship that I'm in now with my wonderful girlfriend. And I just feel like whether you're in a situation or not, you can always, shed light or, spit game from what and teach somebody else, because I know what it's like to be single. I was single for 7 years before, I got into the relationship that I'm in now. And I just thank God for that time, that I was able to not only spend with myself, but most importantly, spend with God and get closer to God and get to know him in more ways than one, And so, again, the joy of being single is my topic for today. So I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. But, we live in a time where no one wants to be single and everyone wants to be booed up or cuffed up or wifed up, or they say, it's what is it, cuffing season. But sometimes we don't even know why we want to be with someone. But just because everybody is doing it, we feel that we want to follow the trend and that we want to be like the Joneses and that we just want to do what everybody else is doing. But the same way that there is joy in being with someone is the same way that there's joy in being with self. The first point I want to talk from is knowing why you're dating someone. You have to date with purpose. Now, when I was younger and, I called myself trying to be a playboy, I remember I would just date. I had no intent in mind, you know what I mean, to actually see it go anywhere. Not that, I didn't care for the girls that I dated or anything like that. I cared a lot, you know what I mean? But being young, I didn't have the mindset that I have now when it comes to dating. Young, I played games. Young, I played around. Young, my mindset, I flirted a lot, you know what I mean? And so that was my mindset back then. So I didn't date with a purpose. I didn't know why I was with someone. I just know that I was with them and that was the thing to do. Is you had a girlfriend, you know what I mean? Or you were with somebody, or you were messing around with somebody. And so since that was just like the thing to do, it's something, like I said, we follow trends because it makes us feel connected, I guess, to the world in a way and what's going on and what everybody else is doing. So like I said, when I was young, I didn't necessarily know how to date with purpose or date with intent. But now that I'm older, my mindset has completely changed and it has transformed. And I thank God for that. Like I said, those 7 years of me being by myself, it has taught me a lot, and it has allowed me to grow and to learn myself and to learn what I want and everything like that. But now my mindset is so different, and it's set on that if I am investing my time in somebody now, I'm looking forward to marriage. I'm looking forward to a family, and I'm looking forward to building together. You know what I mean? I'm no longer just trying to date just to say that I have somebody, or date just to be in somebody's presence or under somebody. Like, that's no longer my mindset, because like I said, I've outgrown that. And so the next thing is learning to be okay with being alone for a season of your life. Now, the 7 years, that I was single, and a lot of other people, they may say, well, some people may say, dang, bro, why you was single for 7 years? Or how could you do that for like 7 years and not be with somebody? There's people that's been single for 15, 20, 25 years that's been single for all their life. You know what I mean? And it's not hard to embrace that concept, because I feel that everybody in life should try it. I feel like everybody in life owes it to themselves to actually spend time with themselves. You know what I mean? Because if you never take time to actually spend with yourself, you rob yourself of time to actually take care of yourself, to love yourself, to know yourself, to build yourself up and get ready for the life that you intend to have, or the person that God intends for you to spend your life with. You rob yourself of all these things because being in a relationship sometimes, if you're, especially if you're in a toxic relationship, or if you're in a relationship where someone is needy, a lot of times you don't have the time to actually focus on yourself or to grow and to work on yourself, because you have to always think about somebody else, right? Or you have to always worry about somebody else's feelings or emotions, or take care of somebody else. But when you allow yourself to have that time, it's all you, it's all God, you know what I mean? And that's what I was appreciative of, is because I got to sit with myself, and I got to analyze, and I got to think about, the relationships that I was in, and the one that I had just got out of in 2012. And I had time to think about that, and I had time to think about how can I be better for the next time I find myself in a relationship, or how can I mature, how can I grow, and how can I do this better, or how can I do that better, or what is it that I want, or that I need, or that I'm looking for, you know what I mean? So I was able to analyze and to learn all of these things, about myself and about life, and to actually, prepare myself, for these things, and allow God to prepare me, you know what I mean, for where I am today, you know what I mean? And so I feel like even when I stepped in the relationship that I'm in right now, I felt that I stepped in a completely different person. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not perfect. Yeah, there's, things that I could do better. There's, things that I still am working on, but I'm not where I used to be. I'm not who I used to be. You know what I mean? And it's like I said, now I date with purpose. Now I date with intent. And so I'm glad that I was able to allow myself to be alone for a season in my life. So I just encourage you, with that being said, is don't think that it's a bad thing to be by yourself. Enjoy your alone time. Enjoy the time that you get to spend with yourself. Enjoy the time that you get to date yourself and love yourself, and make yourself feel important and everything like that. So enjoy that time, because it's not a bad thing. Which brings me to my next point. Being single is not a bad thing, and it doesn't mean that you're less desirable. A lot of people, you may look at some people and you may say, well, dang, is it hard for you to get somebody to like you or to date you, or what is it? You know what I mean? And a lot of times it's not that, like I said, that you're not desirable. Sometimes some people are legit okay with being by themselves. You know what I mean? A lot of times people just feel that the best thing for me to do is to be by myself, because I'm no good for somebody else right now. And a lot of times I used to think that, within my 7 years of being single, is that I will always say I would rather be a blessing than a burden to somebody any day. And so if I wasn't in a place to where I can give my best, or to give my all to somebody, or to give the best version of me to somebody, I didn't want to do it. And so it didn't make me feel, bad, again, that I was by myself, or it didn't make me feel like nobody wanted me. It's just that I knew in my mind what I was working towards, and what, I wanted for myself. And so when you find yourself in a situation, and sometimes, like I said, it's inevitable. We're gonna have these thoughts, and we're gonna have people even, joke or make comments to say, well, dang, is it, like I said, is it hard for you to date, or is it hard for you to find somebody, or why can't you find somebody? Don't feed into that stuff. You know what I mean? Know why it is that you're single. Know why it is that you're doing what you're doing. Know what you're working towards, and know that, again, like I said, in the right time, that God will, prepare you for where He desires to take you, and for who He desires for you to be with. And so my next point is how to better use your time while being single. So instead of taking all your time and being single, and using that time to think about, negative things, or why don't somebody want me, or why do I feel this way, or whatever you may think in your singleness, how can you better use that time to not only better your mindset, but to invest in yourself, or to invest in your future, And so with me being single for the time that I was, um like I said, I was able to focus more in on me, and not only me, but my relationship with God. So I was able to dedicate more time to God. I was able to dedicate myself completely and fully to God. Not that I don't dedicate myself to God now. God is still a major part of my life, and He's a major part of my relationship, and any relationship that I will have in my life. And so I was able to dedicate myself to God and my purpose and my calling, and getting myself to where I am today, with the motivation and the Bible studies, and even the podcast. You know what I mean? I was able to focus and zone in on things like that. So instead of just being a Debbie Downer, or being a negative Nancy through the time of me being single, and huffing and puffing and feeling like nobody will ever want me, or whatever like that, I channeled my energy in a different in a different way. And so I feel like that's what we all need to do. Sometimes we focus so much on being single that we waste so much time, and we take up so much of that time and space when we can be better using it. You know what I mean? Like I said, to prepare ourselves. So in the midst of your singleness, find other ways to enjoy your life. Take yourself out to the movie. You know what I mean? Work on your goals, work on your vision board, work on, plans and your 5 year plan or your 10 year plan. Work on these things so that when you finally do get the relationship that you desire and that God desires for you to have, you're not just trying to catch up to get to where you want to be, but you're already there. My next point is let God prepare you for the life he desires to give you. In the 7 years, I felt like, God was doing a lot of preparing. God was preparing me for the next level. God was preparing me for where I am right now in my life. God is always preparing us for something. You know what I mean? And he's always preparing us because he has a bigger picture in mind. You know what I mean? Sometimes we may not be able to see beyond our right now or our present, but we have to trust that God always has a bigger plan or a greater plan for our lives. And so letting God prepare you is the best thing that you can do for yourself. Again, this is something else that you can do in the time of you being single. God, work on me. God, deliver me. God, heal me. God, I know I used to have a bunch of anger issues, and that's one thing I struggled with a lot. I had anger issues. I had pride. I was very prideful. You know what I mean? But God was working on me with those things in that time of me being single, because why? I had time to dedicate for him to do that. You know what I mean? To where now, and it's nothing but the glory of God, the grace of God. And I give all glory to him because now I'm not that same prideful person that I used to be. Now I don't operate in that anger that I used to operate in. Why? Because I allowed God to use me, and I used that time for something important and something, that was beneficial to my future and to my present and my right now and what will come later on in my life. Which brings me to my last point. When the time is right, Mr. or Mrs. Right will come along. Don't rush it. You know what I mean? Don't try to jump into something just because everybody else is doing it, or you feel like out of your friend groups you're the only one that's single and you just tired of being alone and all this everything, whatever you may feel, all these things like that. Don't do it. Just wait. You know what I mean? That's the best thing you can do for yourself, because sometimes you'll find yourself you'll get into a situation that you probably later on regret that you're in. You know what I mean? Sometimes you'll get into a situation that'll knock you 10 steps back when you done took 10 steps forward. You know what I mean? You'll just find yourself not in the best situations if you don't allow yourself, to wait. So again, with all that being said, I just encourage my single people out there to take the journey, enjoy the time that you have by yourself, trust God, allow God to work on you, work on yourself. And again, ultimately, prepare yourself for where you want to be. You never get that time back, um, unless, dire situations or circumstances, but enjoy the time, you know what I mean? And do with it what you can. Make it the best situation, make it the best single time in your life, you know what I mean? And allow yourself to just enjoy it. But God bless y'all. I thank y'all for rocking with me. Again, this is a Voice of a Generation podcast. I am your host, King Leo, and I am out.